Meeting of the Senate Elections Committee to order, and we do have a quorum. We have a couple of folks online, so we will try to keep an eye and make sure that we are recognizing people who have questions during the course of our hearing today. I do want to start out with our introductory information. I'd like to welcome everyone here who is in the audience for this Minnesota Senate Elections Committee hearing today. We do appreciate your interest and your participation in our legislative process. To ensure everyone can view and hear and understand today's proceedings, we do ask for your cooperation in maintaining decorum and civility throughout this hearing. For the safety, security, and comfort of all attendees, please note the following guidelines. As the acting chair of the Elections Committee, my job is to make sure our committee runs smoothly and efficiently and to ensure we are able to complete our business each time we meet. My job is also to establish expectations around conduct during our hearing as follows. Signs and placards are not permitted in the hearing room. Verbal outbursts, shouting, or disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Applause or other audible demonstrations are not allowed. For safety reasons, everyone must be seated. No standing, sitting, or pacing in walkways or aisles will be allowed, nor standing or obstructing proceedings at your seat. However, if you do require a reasonable accommodation, please speak with our sergeant staff for your assistance with needs. We will be happy to accommodate them. Sergeant-at-Arms are here to ensure everyone's safety. Testifiers have signed up in advance and have been provided with a time limit for their testimony. Please adhere to these time limits so that all of our testifiers have the opportunity to share their thoughts and so that we can keep our meeting on time. If time runs out, I will ask you to wrap up your remarks. Before and after the committee, please talk to a sergeant if you'd like to speak with one of the senators on the committee or their staff instead of approaching the committee table. The sergeant will then pass that along to us. If these guidelines are not followed, I will provide a warning and ask that decorum be restored. After that, ongoing failure to comply may result in removal from the hearing room. Our goal is to conduct these proceedings efficiently while ensuring everyone the opportunity to observe and participate appropriately and to maintain decorum. If we lose cabin pressure, please. I just want to see if people are paying attention. Put your own mask on first. I do feel a little bit like the Southwest flight attendant giving directions. But yes. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today for this hearing. We do have two items on our agenda. Senator Boldon has made her way to our testifier table today, and she will actually be presenting both bills. First up is going to be Senate File 3703. Senator Boldon, and why don't you go ahead and make your presentation?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Senate File 3703 is a very simple bill, really aimed at just ensuring that all presidential candidates meet the requirements of the U.S. Constitution. This ensures or affirms the rule of law, allows Minnesotans to have further faith in our very strong elections here in Minnesota, and simply put, just does that, says that candidates running for the president meet qualifications of the Constitution. Very simple.
Thank you, Senator Boldon. Are there any questions or member discussion on this bill? You have that look. Yes. Please go ahead, Senator Cran.
I didn't know if I needed to read a script now in order to ask a question to the chair.
You do.
So it would appear that since the constitutional requirements are for a natural born citizen at least 35 years of age or older and be in the country, 14 years, or be resident of the U.S. for 14 years, and you can't be elected more than 2 terms. What are we trying to solve here? What's the business case for that?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the question. Again, this is just very simply to reaffirm the rule of law, to add additional faith for Minnesotans in our nation-leading democracy, an added layer of protection and just statement that everyone running for president here meets the U.S. Constitution qualifications.
Madam Chair, I think
Senator Kren.
I think the Constitution's already pretty clear, and Donald Trump is not running in 2028, so I think we're good. I don't think we need to attempt to recodify a federal law, something buried in our U.S. Constitution, and so I would hope we would discuss things that were impactful to Minnesota on Minnesota elections. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Boldon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would say it's always a good time to reinforce the U.S. Constitution, I believe, and this doesn't need to take we don't need to spend a great deal of time on this. As I said, I think it's fairly simple, but always a good time to reinforce the Constitution.
Sounds good. Senator Lucero?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and no, I appreciate that. So just to make sure I understand, so the driver for this is you want to take something that's in the U.S. Constitution and you want to codify it into Minnesota statute? That's the impetus for this?
Senator Boldon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this bill would create an affirmation of certification for candidates and party chairs in the state of Minnesota to affirm that they meet all the qualifications of the U.S. Constitution.
Senator Lucero?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I know what the bill does, but I was listening to the conversation, the reason for this. And did I understand you correctly that you said it was always a good thing to codify or reaffirm the U.S. Constitution in Minnesota statute? I just want to confirm that I heard that correctly.
Senator Boldon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I'm saying is I do think it is a positive thing in this case to reaffirm, to add an extra, as I said, extra confidence for Minnesotans in our, as I said, nation-leading democracy here, that to add this extra layer of certification and assurance for folks to be assured that the U.S. Constitution is being upheld here.
Senator Lucero?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, okay, well, why stop there then? Why stop there? Because if we have the United States Constitution, I mean, even the Minnesota Constitution, there are provisions in the Minnesota Constitution that aren't going to be a Minnesota statute. So why? I'm just not understanding why. Like, what is the reaffirming? For what reason? Are you do you fear that there will be a violation of the U.S. Constitution in some capacity, and therefore you want to have it in Minnesota statute, et cetera, et cetera? So as I'm listening to the rationale behind the purpose for this bill, I'm thinking, when I ask the question, well, why stop there? We don't have a Second Amendment in Minnesota. So should we take the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, following your line of thinking, and to reaffirm that the principles of the Second Amendment, individual right to keep and bear arms, should also be codified for the exact same reasoning that you're proposing for this? And so again, it's just really odd reasoning from what I've heard. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Lucero. I would just simply say this. I mean, we've certainly had someone indicate that they intend to run for a third term when they're not qualified to do so. This requires that a person certify that they meet the requirements, and puts people on notice that if you don't meet the requirements, you're not going to be allowed on the ballot. I don't know that I can count on other states doing that, but we can certainly do that here in our state. Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Lucero, to your point, I would say, you know, any member is welcome to bring any bill they wish. If other members want to bring bills that reaffirm other parts of the U.S. Constitution, that is certainly within their right to do so. I think this piece of the Constitution is worth bringing forward and reaffirming.
All right. Any other discussion on the bill? Are there, Senator Swadzinski? Okay. Any amendments? All right. Is there a request for a roll call?
I would request a roll call, Madam Chair.
Okay. What's that? No. No, that was last time. All right, so we are going to, a roll call has been requested on Senate File 3703. Senator Boldon moves that Senate File 3703 be recommended to pass. Ms. Stankiewicz will take the roll.
Senator Westland,
Aye.
Senator Curran,
No.
Senator Carlson,
Aye.
Senator Barr,
No.
Senator Boldon,
Aye.
Senator Swedzinski,
Yes.
Senator Limmer,
No.
Senator Lucero,
No.
Senator Marty,
Yes.
Senator Matthews,
No.
Senator Port.
Aye. Thank you. There being 6 ayes and 5 nays, the motion is adopted, and the bill is recommended to pass. All right, our next bill up is also a Senator Boldon bill, Senate File 3823. I understand, Senator Boldon, that you have an A1 authors amendment.
I do, Madam Chair, but I do not have a copy of that amendment if it could be brought to me.
So Senator Boldon, why don't you first describe the bill and then the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy to do that. Senate File 3823 is a bill essentially about transparency. It relates to the statements of economic interest, which all members here will be familiar with as we have to complete these on an annual basis. Current statute says that in addition to us having to complete these annually, the local candidates and local officials in the 7-county metro area in cities with over 50,000 people also have to do that. And just a background of what that is, it's some basic information with the intention of providing, as I said, transparency to the public to make clear any potential financial conflicts of interests that we may have. The case I would make is that it is equally important for the public and constituents and citizens to have that information in large cities, in small cities, in cities in the 7-county metro area, and in cities in greater Minnesota. And so this bill would expand the pool of people who would be required to complete that very simple, I will say when I do mine, it takes me less than 5 minutes, certainly. To complete that form would expand that to local elected officials statewide. And so the amendment, the A1 amendment, is sort of belt and suspenders, if you will, language that was requested by Hennepin County to ensure that what is already has already been practiced for them continues into the future.
Thank you, Senator Boldon. And this is the first stop for this bill, and this is an author's amendment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So Senator Boldon moves the A1 author's amendment in order to get the bill into the form she desires. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The A1 author's amendment is adopted. And Senator Boldon, I understand there are a couple of testifiers, both of whom are on Zoom. So we would like to have up first Kim Lewis from the Minnesota School Board Association. Kim, if you could, there you go. Please introduce yourself for our committee record and then go ahead and make your presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony today. My name is Kim Lewis with the Minnesota School Boards Association, representing 331 locally elected school boards across Minnesota. While we share the goal of transparency, We believe Senate File 3823 overlooks the high level of openness already built into school district operations. School boards do not work in the dark. Our discussions, debates, and votes all happen in public meetings where taxpayers have clear oversight of every financial decision. This existing framework ensures accountability without the need for redundant and intrusive requirements proposed in this bill. Furthermore, districts already utilize robust conflict of interest policies. Board members and top staff, including superintendents and finance directors, are already required to disclose potential conflicts and recuse themselves from decisions where they have a personal stake. This system is proven, it's professional, and it keeps the focus where it should be on our students. We are especially worried about the broad definition of local official. Forcing professional staff like superintendents, business officials, and community education directors to disclose every personal financial asset goes beyond what is necessary for effective oversight. These professionals are already subject to strict district policies and state licensing rules. Adding these requirements will only make it harder to recruit and retain the leadership and, quite honestly, school board members that our schools need. Finally, we're concerned that keeping the sensitive data in local filing cabinets invites misuse. The information could easily become a gotcha tool used to dig through the personal holdings of school board members and staff to create political distractions or personal attacks. Public service should be about serving the community, not sharing a family's private finances. Senate File 3823 creates a mandated maintenance decentralized system with impractical timelines and steep fines that overextends its reach into the lives of our school board members and staff. We urge you to trust the transparent systems we already have in place and protect the privacy of those who serve our schools. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. And the next testifier is Michael Woshik, also on Zoom. And I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but if you can come on camera and introduce yourself and then proceed with your testimony.
The host will have to activate my camera because they've disabled it. Here we go. Madam Chair, members, thank you for this opportunity to speak in favor of this bill. I am currently the Executive Director of the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota, and I also serve on the state's Advisory Council for Traffic Safety. I am here today in an individual capacity talking about a past life of mine. I served 12 years on the Rochester City Council where every day was rosy and everyone was always nice to me all the time, so I look back fondly on those memories. And I'm really in favor of this, and when I hear people saying that this is too much of a burden or this is too much prying into people's lives, what we have to remember is local officials around the states are often making decisions, in the millions or sometimes even billions of dollars for what's going on. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The fact is that you all have to go through this process, and I don't think this has placed an unfair burden on any of your lives. And I can assure you that, speaking as a former local official, we are all competent and capable of filling out this form as well. Now, the idea of placing a burden on somebody is something that we should take very seriously, but I took the time to read through the 5 pages because I was not in the metro area, I was in Rochester, Minnesota, so I did not fill out this exact form, and I just want to let you know how reasonable this form is and how it really is not that prying. Fundamentally, it comes down to basic sources of income, and you don't have to disclose your entire portfolio. Things that you're holding, like mutual funds, which is what most people have retirement savings in, that's there's already an exemption in here on this. It's realistically, for most people, it's going to be 1 or 2 pages to fill out. 5 minutes is a reasonable explanation, and quite honestly, on page 5, if somebody has horse racing interests, hey, I want to know about that just out of curiosity. So I think the idea that this is too much of a burden is not so much as an issue when it goes against the transparency that people are looking for. This gives a consistent written record that would be, you could go to any community and know exactly what you're looking for to see if these conflicts exist. Now, I don't see anything like this so much as ever being a burden for finding good folks to run for office relative to all of the other burdens that they have to face, not the least of which is social media, where you cannot block people as an elected official on your accounts, and just the process of running for office. This is incredibly minor, it's incredibly reasonable, you all do it, it works well. I would be just fine doing this as a former elected official, and I think that you cannot get enough of transparency in this day and age, so I would urge everyone to support this very consistent, easy policy.
Thank you so much for your testimony. That is the end of our list of testifiers. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to testify? Please state your name for the record and go ahead.
Madam Chair, members, my name is Cap O'Rourke. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Association of Small Cities. We advocate on behalf of the 706 cities with populations under 5,000. We appreciate Senator Boldon's efforts to bring greater transparency throughout the state. I think one of the issues that we have in concern, and we're trying to work with both the Secretary of State's office and the State Auditor's office. Unlike the previous testifier who happily got to deal with decisions that were in the millions and billions of dollars, many of my cities are dealing with the decisions that are in the hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars. And their budgets are just really, really small. And it is difficult to get some people to run for these small cities. When you have mayors who have served 40 and 50 years and council members and decisions who come down to a decision of, okay, a conversation at the local cafe of, I'm really tired of running, do you want to run this time? Those are real choices that are happening in our small cities, and it is public service, and I think many of our council members believe strongly in public service, but I also do think that filling out an economic statement of interest in both their holdings and their partners' holdings is something that would deter some candidates. I think currently, the current law has both population, it has a geographic threshold, but it also has dollar amounts. I think expanding that to statewide, but where there is some sort of dollar amount, budgetary amount, would better capitalize on what some of the bigger decisions in greater Minnesota regional centers in those communities in those cities. So I think giving some flexibility for the really small cities who do struggle to find people to run for mayor and council, and giving them some leeway and not have this as a potential hurdle, even if it may not seem like a potential hurdle to those here at the Capitol or in other larger cities. So we'll continue to work with you and the others to try to see if we can find somewhere that allows for transparency but doesn't put up an unneeded hurdle for those looking to serve from the public.
Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else? All right. I will just note, that, again, we have to complete these forms. Mine's pretty short. The information required on the Statement of Economic Interest form requires you to disclose any sources of compensation over $250 a month from a business, lobbyist, principal, other interested party, et cetera. It also requires disclosure of ownership stakes in businesses over 25%, a list of compensation for work as an independent contractor, and a list of securities over $10,000. And again, that does not include mutual funds. It's really just includes individual stock ownership, et cetera, and disclosure of real property holdings. So I don't think that the information that is being requested is onerous. I'm going to assume that most people are probably like me and have a pretty simple financial history or financial holdings, which is to say very little. So from my perspective, I just don't think that anyone running for office should be excluded from having to provide information about that might identify potential conflicts of interest. If you are running for office, part of that should include some transparency so that people would be aware of conflicts that you may have. Is there a member discussion? Okay, we have a Lucero and we have a Barr. Lucero, Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you sharing your perspective, but I think it's in all politeness, it's just tone deaf. Just tone deaf. I completely understand the testimony we just heard. So when we try to make comparisons among ourselves here as elected officials, state representatives, state senators, et cetera, we do this over and over again. We have staff that is helping us. We have assistance from multiple people. But I can remember back when I ran for city council the very first time. And you walk into that city of less than 5,000. You get this packet. It is incredibly intimidating Because you don't have legislative staff, you don't have volunteers from, state parties helping you or people that are trained in the process. And I can imagine, and Madam Chair, if Senator Boldon would just nod her head, yes or no, will this apply to every municipality, 300 population? Okay, so we're getting down to municipalities of, when you drive through parts of rural Minnesota, you see population 152, 300. I mean, these really tiny areas. These are people that could easily be dissuaded from running for office when you take something like this. And I'll tell you what I was concerned about, getting this packet of information and reading dozens of pages of do's and don'ts, and you have to do this and have to do that, and disclosure statements, and you don't have a lawyer, you don't have anybody looking over your shoulder helping you to even interpret what this stuff means. It's just you and your spouse, or at least for us, it was myself and my spouse sitting at the kitchen table trying to decipher what are the do's and don'ts. And I think that there is a way, if we were to continue the conversation, to have transparency, and we all want to avoid conflicts of interest. But it is so tone deaf to say, from my perspective, I don't think this is a big deal. Well, it is a big deal to these people in lesser populated areas that don't have the experience or staff or support that we do. So I just highly encourage, think about potential alternatives that we can achieve disclosure and transparency for potential conflicts of interest without, again, being intimidating to those who we absolutely need in these local offices to run and volunteer to be elected officials. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. I'm going to push back. I don't think it's tone deaf. I mean, when I first ran for office, I didn't have anybody helping me either, and I had to figure it out. And quite frankly, if you're running for, I don't do election law, I do family law, Senator. The fact of the matter is there was paperwork that I had to fill out. There were campaign finance forms I had to fill out. I had to figure out a lot of stuff on my own. And we are asking people who are going to be elected to office, who are going to be making big decisions for their city regardless of the size of the city, but they can't fill out a piece of paper. I think that actually that suggests that these people are not intelligent, capable people, and I'm sure that they are intelligent and capable people. I would also note that the city of Rockford, which has a population of 4,500, requires this of their public officials and has since the 1980s, and their disclosure requirements are actually more than what we have. So I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with you that I'm being tone deaf. You may disagree with what I'm saying, but I wouldn't characterize it at that. I'm expressing my opinion, Senator, just as you have expressed your opinion. Senator Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Boldon, I didn't see, is this filed with the Campaign Finance Board?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question. These would be filed locally.
It's all locally. Okay, do you have?
Senator Barr.
And thank you, Madam Chair. Do you have any idea how many, so like a school board will file with their school board, it'll be on file with the superintendent, the city would be on board. Where are these local? Where?
Thank you.
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe they would be filed perhaps with the city clerk, filed centrally at the municipality.
Senator Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So they're filed with the municipality. They wouldn't be online. So if somebody wanted to look at them, they'd have to actually go to the city clerk, or are we going to be adding, and a school board would be a city clerk, or where would the school boards be?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm getting corrected, so we'll correct the information. They may be filed locally with the school board, and so in every municipality across the state may not be available online. True. So folks may have to go to the local school board or where they're filed locally to be able to see them.
Senator Barr. Any other discussion? Senator Port.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Boldon, thank you for bringing this bill. I think it's really common sense. We fill these out, but the decisions that are made across our state are increasing in size as they are spanning out to other entities. We have seen multiple instances of relatively small communities being encouraged, I will say, to sign NDAs with very large multi-billion-dollar international corporations as they are discussing a potential data center or AI center or, you know, whatever the case may be, in these small communities. They're not building them in downtown Minneapolis. They're building them across the state in sometimes very small communities, or attempting to. And I think that as we are talking about huge sums of money, I think it makes sense to require some level of transparency. These are easy forms to fill out. They do not require you to gather a whole bunch of stuff to do. It takes me less than 5 minutes. Granted, I don't own a racehorse, so maybe that would, you know, increase my time if I did. I really want to meet somebody who owns a racehorse. But I think like it makes a lot of sense as decisions are being spread across our state and huge dollar amounts are being discussed, sometimes behind closed doors by your city council. I think the discussion of those NDAs is another topic for another day, for another committee, but this makes a ton of sense to ensure that people know where there might be conflicts of interest from their city councilors or mayors. So thank you for bringing this, Senator Boldon. I support it.
Thank you, Senator Port. Senator Coran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Senator Port, I don't think you could find another activity besides being elected to lower your earning potential or income, but horse racing is probably one of them. Madam Chair and Senator Bold, I could agree with the sections 1, 2, and 3, right? Disclose your conflicts of interest. Still haven't heard a scenario that justifies going out and making this mandatory to all cities of all sizes. I haven't seen where it's an issue. And you know, Senator Port just talked about the data centers, and you're from the community. People know who you are. You can look up any public environment to understand and buy a lot of information if you're solely interested on the economic earnings or what an individual has. But I just don't think we've proven a business case about hypotheticals about we just want more. We did last year, we passed it. Now we want to expand it to every single city. I just don't think we can support it. But I could support the making disclosures, but sorry, I can't support the bill as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Boldon, for bringing this forward. Well, first of all, for those of you that said you completed this form in 5 minutes, I'm in awe of you, because it took me a lot longer. No, I don't own a racehorse either. Second, it seems like the overriding argument I'm hearing against this is it'll have a chilling effect on candidates, and it'll be difficult to find candidates. And I don't know, I'm trying to process those types of comments, because being the last 10 years of my life have been an honor and a privilege beyond words. And I don't know why that wouldn't be the operating process here. I mean, oh my God, there's an opening on a school board or a city council, and I have never served in my life. I'm gonna sign me up. What do I got to do? That should be the attitude of a true citizen, is every opportunity they should seize to belong to something bigger than themselves. And so to hear some people say this will have a chilling effect on candidates, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard or permanent marker on a smart board or something. And I think another thing that we're hearing a lot about these days is fraud. And I think what your bill's trying to do is increase transparency. It's trying to give more the citizens of this great state more confidence in their government and who they're voting for, knowing that they had to fill this out. But ultimately, I think all of us in the legislature, all 201 members, one of our little goals this year should be trying to restore the public trust that for whatever reason, it could be argued that some Minnesotans aren't really trusting what we do here. And I think that your bill does a great job of reminding the voters, the privilege of being a citizen and a candidate and an elected official, as well as trying to restore the trust that for some Minnesotans, we've lost their trust in what we do. So thank you, Senator Boldon.
Senator Cran?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I love Senator Swedzinski's enthusiasm. I'd love to restore the trust. Why don't you vote with me on the floor to remove proxy voting and make sure every member gets their butt in their seat? Wouldn't that be wonderful to restore the trust? Madam Chair, I do have a real question, though. What's the disposition on this?
I'd like to interrupt for just 1 second. We have a member online right now.
Yeah.
Senator Carlson.
Yeah, I understand.
Who has pancreatic cancer.
I understand.
And is serving his district, and he is participating.
I think that's spectacular.
And I take great umbrage at that statement.
I take great umbrage that the institution has been ripped apart by having this policy in place, not only in committees, but in the Senate floor, and you pass bills over bills. So, but I do have a question on the disposition of this bill.
Go ahead, Senator.
Are you laying over, or are you going to pass? Okay. Can I ask one more question? Madam Chair, I believe on the last bill, it voted to pass it, but I don't think we passed it with the definition of where's it going. Is it going to general orders? Okay, I don't believe that was in the statement before we voted. So thank you.
Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Boldon, has the League of Minnesota Cities have issued an opinion on your bill?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question. They have not reached out to me about it.
Or the Association of Minnesota Counties, have they made any mention of your bill?
Senator Boldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. They have not reached out to me about it.
Okay. Madam Chair, I appreciate laying the bill over at this time. I'd love to hear from those organizations that represent cities and see if they have an opinion on this one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other conversation today? All right. We are laying this bill over. The bill is laid over for possible inclusion in an omnibus bill. And I believe that is the conclusion of our agenda, and that is record time, I think, for this committee. So we are in adjournment.